The planet killer weapon aboard the Eternal Dominion reached 80% charge. Energy readings climbed steadily toward the critical threshold that would unleash enough power to crack worlds. Admiral Thaloran stood rigid before his main display, watching the weapon's progress with grim satisfaction. 3 minutes to full charge, his weapons officer reported. Around the massive Valdorn flagship, the alien armada waited nervously. The ghost ships had vanished completely, leaving empty space where moments before the Phantom fleet had danced between dimensions. Even the most advanced sensors detected nothing but cosmic background radiation. "Sir," the sensor operator called out, "all contacts have disappeared. No phase signatures detected anywhere in the system." "Good," Thaloran growled. "They know they cannot stop this weapon. Let them watch their precious station die." On Kepler Station, Captain Minho paced the command center like a caged animal. Through the main view screen, he could see the Valdorn flagship growing brighter as energy built up in its core. Every instinct screamed at him to evacuate, but Captain Do-hyun remained unnaturally calm. 2 minutes until they fire," Minho said urgently. "Whatever you're planning, now would be a good time." Do-hyun checked his wrist display and nodded to Engineer Soo-young. "Signal the beacon network. Begin dimensional cascade sequence." Soo-young's fingers moved across her portable console. Cascade initiating. All phase generators responding. Dimensional barriers dropping. Throughout the star system, invisible beacons that had been placed years before began activating. Each beacon was no larger than a human fist, but together they created a network spanning millions of cubic kilometers. The beacons had been waiting patiently, disguised as space debris for this exact moment. "What's happening?" Minho demanded as his instruments began registering impossible energy readings. "We're about to show the galaxy what humanity has really been building," Do-hyun replied quietly. Space itself began to change. The dimensional barriers between normal reality and phase space started dissolving in controlled areas throughout the system. What had been invisible became visible. What had been impossible became inevitable. The first new ship appeared just as the planet killer reached 95% charge. It materialized 2,000 kilometers from the Valdorn flagship, not flickering in and out like the previous ghost ships, but solidifying into permanent reality. The vessel was 3 times larger than the Phantom Wind, its hull seeming to absorb light itself. Then another appeared, and another. Within 30 seconds, 50 massive ships had emerged from dimensional space. Each one dwarfed the largest alien vessels, their sleek hulls crackling with energy that bent space around them. They hung motionless in perfect formation, surrounding the alien fleet like silent predators. "Sir," the Valdorn sensor operator's voice cracked with fear. 50 new contacts, all showing massive energy signatures. Power output exceeds our entire fleet combined." Admiral Thaloran stared at the tactical display in horror. The small ghost ships had been mere scouts. Now he faced humanity's true fleet, vessels that made his dreadnoughts look like shuttlecraft. "Planet killer at 100% charge," his weapons officer reported with a shaking voice. "Fire!" Thaloran screamed. The massive weapon discharged, sending a beam of pure destruction toward Kepler Station. The energy was sufficient to vaporize entire moons. Nothing could survive its touch. The beam struck something invisible 5,000 kilometers from the station and simply stopped. Energy that should have continued to the target dissipated harmlessly against a dimensional barrier that absorbed the attack completely. "Impossible," Thaloran whispered. Captain Do-hyun spoke into his communicator with calm authority. "All ships implement demonstration protocol. Show them what real power looks like." The 50 massive human vessels began to move. Unlike the previous ghost ships that had appeared and vanished, these moved with deliberate purpose through normal space. Their hulls gleamed with energy that warped light around them. The Lid vessel, easily 5 times the size of any alien dreadnought, approached the Valdorn flagship directly. It made no aggressive moves, but its mere presence radiated power that made the air itself seem heavy. "Sir," the Valdorn communications officer called out desperately, "the lead ship is requesting to speak with you directly." "Put it through," Thaloran ordered, his voice barely a whisper. A new face appeared on the main screen, an older human woman with calm, intelligent eyes. When she spoke, her voice carried absolute authority. "I am Admiral Park Minji, Commanding Officer of the United Earth Strategic Fleet. You have just witnessed humanity's defensive capabilities. You will now witness our offensive potential." She gestured slightly, and the massive ship behind her began to change. Its hull plates shifted and reconfigured, revealing weapon ports that pulsed with dimensional energy. The other human vessels did the same, transforming from sleek explorers into instruments of war. "Your planet killer weapon has been analyzed and found primitive," Admiral Park continued. "Our dimensional cannons operate on principles your science cannot comprehend. Observe." One of the human ships fired a single shot at an empty region of space. The beam struck nothing, yet space itself cracked like broken glass. Reality shattered along dimensional lines, creating a rift that showed the swirling chaos of raw hyperspace beyond. "That was a demonstration shot at minimum power," Park explained. "At full power, our weapons can crack space-time itself. Entire star systems would simply cease to exist." The rift slowly sealed itself, but the message was clear. Humanity possessed weapons that could destroy reality itself. General Viridian was the first to break. "Hegemony fleet withdrawing immediately," he transmitted on all frequencies. "All ships, emergency hyperspace jump. Get us out of here now." 800 hegemony vessels vanished into hyperspace within minutes, their crews too terrified to remain in the system any longer. General Morvek followed quickly. "Saurian collective retreating. This engagement is beyond our capabilities." 700 more ships disappeared, leaving only the Valdorn fleet and their smaller allies facing the human armada. Admiral Thaloran found himself alone with the impossible decision. His 3,000-ship fleet was reduced to barely 1,000 operational vessels. The humans had demonstrated technology that made his forces obsolete. "Admiral," Park's voice was surprisingly gentle, "your empire has a choice. Withdraw from human space permanently and live in peace, or face the consequences of continued aggression. We have no desire for conquest, but we will defend ourselves." "Sir," his tactical officer whispered urgently, "our weapons cannot penetrate their dimensional shields. Our sensors can barely track their movements. We cannot win this fight." Thaloran closed his eyes. 50 years of military service, countless victories, a lifetime spent building the greatest fleet in Valdorn history, all made meaningless by technology he couldn't understand. "Signal general retreat," he said finally. "All ships, emergency withdrawal to Valdorn space." The remaining alien vessels began their hyperspace jumps, desperate to escape the system before the humans changed their minds about mercy. Within an hour, the space around Kepler Station was empty except for humanity's ghost fleet. Admiral Park's image appeared on Kepler Station's main screen. Captain Minho stood at attention, still overwhelmed by what he had witnessed. "Captain," she said kindly, "welcome back to the human fleet. I apologize for the deception, but it was necessary to draw out every major galactic power at once." "Earth?" Minho asked hopefully. "Safe and thriving in dimensional space, along with 40 billion humans and our entire industrial base. The planet the Valdorn destroyed was an elaborate decoy. We've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. On the observation deck, Captain Doyun activated his final transmission, one that would reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. "This is the United Earth Fleet broadcasting to all species," he began. "For too long, the galaxy has seen humanity as weak prey to be hunted and enslaved. Today, that perception ends. We claim the void between stars as our domain. We are the ghosts that move between dimensions, the whispers in dark space. Any who threaten human space will find that we have much darker phantoms than what you witnessed today." The transmission ended, and slowly, the massive human fleet began phasing back into dimensional space. One by one, the great ships faded from normal reality until only empty space remained. But throughout the galaxy, on every world and in every fleet, the message was clear. Humanity had returned from the darkness beyond imagination. They moved like ghosts between the stars, and they were no longer anyone's prey. The age of human hiding was over. The age of human supremacy had begun. The alien fleet hung in space like a wounded giant. Disabled ships drifted among those still operational, their crews working frantically to restore weapon systems. Fear spread through the communication channels as reports poured in from damaged vessels. "Main batteries offline," reported Captain Vorth of the hegemony cruiser Stellar. "Fang. Whatever hit us passed right through our shields. No energy signatures, no impact traces. It's like our weapons just stopped working." Similar reports came from dozens of ships. The mystery vessel had struck with surgical precision, disabling weapons without harming crews. For military commanders used to total warfare, This restraint was more terrifying than destruction would have been. Admiral Thaloran called an emergency meeting of all fleet commanders. The holographic images of Generals Viridian and Morvek appeared on his bridge, along with several other alien leaders. Their faces showed confusion and growing fear. "Status report," Thaloran demanded. 63 ships disabled, General Viridian reported. All weapon systems offline, but no casualties. Hegemony science teams are analyzing the damage. They have no explanation for how the attacks bypassed our defenses. General Morvek's reptilian features showed open concern. My engineers report the same thing. Whatever struck our ships, it appears to have materialized inside our hulls. That should be impossible. "Sir," interrupted Thaloran's science officer, "we've detected massive energy readings building throughout the system. Source unknown." On Kepler Station, Captain Minho watched the alien fleet's confusion with amazement. Captain Do-hyun stood beside him on the observation deck, calmly observing the chaos his single ship had created. "Your people did all this?" Minho asked. "This is just the beginning," Do-hyun replied. "The real demonstration is about to start." "What do you mean?" Engineer Su-young looked up from her portable console. "Captain, the beacon network is responding. Phase generators are coming online across the system." Do-hyun nodded. "Signal the fleet. It's time to show them what real fear looks like." In the alien formation, sensor operators began detecting strange readings. Energy signatures appeared at seemingly random points throughout the system. Space itself seemed to be shifting in places. "Admiral," his sensor chief called nervously, "I'm reading dimensional distortions throughout the system. Massive ones. Whatever's causing this has energy output that dwarfs our entire fleet." Thaloran felt cold dread settling in his stomach. "Can you track the source?" "Oh, no, sir. The distortions appear to be coming from everywhere at once." The phantom wind, still visible in the center of the formation, suddenly activated its communication system. This time the transmission reached not just the fleet commanders, but every ship in the armada. Captain Do-hyun's voice echoed through thousands of bridges. "Attention all vessels. What you have witnessed so far represents humanity's most basic phase technology. We offer you one final chance to withdraw peacefully. If you refuse, you will see what our advanced systems can do." General Viridian's voice crackled across the command channel. "This is a bluff. One ship cannot threaten an entire fleet." "You're correct," Do-hyun's voice replied calmly. "One ship cannot threaten an entire fleet. Fortunately, we have more than one ship." The dimensional distortions throughout the system suddenly intensified. Space began to shimmer and bend in dozens of locations. Reality itself seemed to ripple like water disturbed by stones. Then they appeared. The first ghost ship materialized 3,000 kilometers off the fleet's starboard flank. It was identical to the phantom wind, sleek, dark, impossible to look at directly. It hung in space for exactly 10 seconds before vanishing again. Another appeared to port. Then another above the formation. Then 3 more below. Each ship remained visible just long enough to be detected and targeted, before disappearing into dimensional space. Within minutes, sensors detected over 30 separate contacts, all appearing and vanishing in perfect coordination. The alien tactical displays showed ghost ships surrounding their formation from every possible angle. "Sir," a terrified sensor operator reported to Admiral Thaloran, "I count 37 distinct contacts, all using the same phase technology, all displaying identical energy signatures." Thaloran's 4 hands gripped his command chair. 37 ships with the same impossible capabilities as the phantom wind. His 3,000 ship armada suddenly seemed pitifully small. "This has to be some kind of trick." General Morvek transmitted. "Sensor ghosts. Holographic projections." "Sir?" interrupted his weapons officer. "One of the contacts just fired on our destroyer Crimson Blade. Weapon systems disabled, same as before. If it's a projection, it's a projection that can disable our ships." The Ghost Fleet began a coordinated demonstration that would haunt alien nightmares for generations. Moving in perfect synchronization, the phantom vessels appeared throughout the formation. They fired precise shots that disabled weapons, engines, and communication systems without harming crews. Each attack came from an impossible angle. Ships found themselves targeted from directly above, below, and sometimes from multiple directions simultaneously. The aliens' return fire passed harmlessly through empty space as the ghost ships phased away milliseconds before impact. "Sir," reported the communications officer of the Saurian flagship, "we've lost contact with Squadron 7. All 17 ships are drifting. No response to our signals. Squadron 12 is also offline, added another voice. Total communications blackout. The Ghost Fleet was systematically dismantling the largest armada in galactic history. They moved like sharks through water, appearing just long enough to strike before vanishing into dimensional space. The aliens' superior numbers meant nothing against an enemy that could attack from outside normal reality. Captain Do-Yun watched the battle from Kepler Station's observation deck. Through his dimensional instruments, he could see his Ghost Fleet moving in perfect coordination. Each ship existed in 7-dimensional space, visible to normal sensors only when they chose to be. Impressive, Captain Minho said quietly. How many ships do you actually have? That information is classified, Do-Yun replied with a slight smile. But I will say this. What you're seeing today is a small fraction of humanity's total capabilities. The alien fleet was in full panic now. Admiral Thaloran watched helplessly as his forces were systematically disabled. Ship after ship went dark as the Ghost Fleet struck with surgical precision. His weapons were useless against enemies that existed partially outside normal space. Sir, his tactical officer called desperately, the Hegemony flagship is requesting permission to withdraw. Denied, Thaloran growled. We cannot show weakness to a human trick. Sir, respectfully, this doesn't appear to be a trick. We're facing technology centuries ahead of our own. Thaloran refused to listen. Pride and fury clouded his judgment. He had spent years planning humanity's destruction. The idea that his prey had become his superior was unacceptable. Signal all ships, he commanded. Prepare the planet killer weapon. If we cannot defeat these ghosts, we'll destroy what they're protecting. Deep in the Eternal Dominion's core, massive energy collectors began charging the most powerful weapon in the Valdorn arsenal. The planet killer could crack worlds, turning entire planets into asteroid fields. If aimed at Kepler Station, it would vaporize the human outpost instantly. Sir, his weapons officer reported nervously. Planet killer charging. Full power in 10 minutes. The charging sequence was detected immediately by every ship in the system. The Ghost Fleet stopped their attacks and began withdrawing to safe distances. Even the phantom wind vanished from the center of the formation. Admiral Thaloran felt savage satisfaction. Finally, the humans were showing fear. Let them face a weapon that could destroy entire worlds. 8 minutes to full charge, came the report. On Kepler Station, alarms wailed as sensors detected the massive energy buildup. Captain Minho rushed to the command center where Captain Do-Yun waited calmly. They're charging a planet killer, Minho said urgently. We need to evacuate the station. No, Do-Yun replied quietly. We're exactly where we need to be. You can't stop a planet killer with phase technology. That much energy will tear through dimensional barriers. Do-Yun smiled and activated his communicator. All ghost ships implement Protocol 7. It's time to show them our true capabilities. Throughout the system, space began to shimmer with new intensity. The dimensional distortions grew stronger, more focused. Reality itself seemed to be preparing for something unprecedented. 5 minutes to full charge, reported the Valdorn weapon systems. Admiral Thaloran watched the energy readings climb toward critical levels. Soon the human problem would be solved forever. No phase technology could stop the raw power of a planet-killer weapon. He had no idea that he was about to witness humanity's greatest secret. Admiral Thaloran paced his command bridge like a caged predator. The reports from Commander Morlane made no sense. One ship had disabled half a destroyer squadron without taking a single hit in return. The tactical recordings showed empty space firing back at his forces. Summon the fleet commanders, Thaloran ordered. Full strategic meeting in 1 hour. Within hours, 3 additional fleets arrived through hyperspace. The Hegemony Alliance sent 800 ships under General Korth Viridian. The Saurian Collective contributed 700 vessels commanded by General Zast Morvek. Smaller allied species brought their own squadrons. The combined armada now numbered over 3,500 warships. Thaloran felt satisfaction return. Whatever trick the humans were using, it couldn't work against this much firepower. No single ship could face the combined might of 4 major galactic powers. Generals, he addressed the holographic images of his allies. We face an unknown enemy vessel with unusual capabilities. It appears to move without conventional propulsion and can somehow avoid our weapons. General Viridian's insectoid features showed skepticism. 1 ship? Against our combined fleets? Impossible. I thought so too, Thaloran admitted. But the evidence is clear. This vessel has technology we don't understand. General Morvek's reptilian eyes narrowed. What do you propose? Coordinated attack patterns, energy nets, gravity wells, whatever this ship's capabilities. It must have limits. Meanwhile, on Kepler Station, Captain Minho received another transmission from the mysterious Phantom Wind. This time, Captain Choi Do-hyun's face appeared on the main screen. He looked human enough, though his uniform design was unfamiliar. Captain Minho, Do-hyun said calmly, I need to speak with you directly. Permission to come aboard? How do you plan to get past 3,000 enemy ships? Minho asked. Do-hyun smiled slightly. The same way we got here. 20 minutes later, alarms sounded throughout Kepler Station as an unknown vessel materialized inside the docking bay. The Phantom Wind simply appeared, as if it had always been there. No energy signatures, no dimensional distortions. One moment empty space, the next a sleek ship settling onto the deck. Minho met the visitors in the main airlock. Captain Do-hyun was accompanied by his engineer Han Soo-young. Both wore uniforms that combined familiar human elements with technology that seemed decades ahead of anything Minho had seen. Captain, Do-hyun said, extending his hand, thank you for agreeing to meet. I'm not sure I had much choice, Minho replied, shaking hands. Your ship just appeared in my docking bay. We have much to discuss. First, you should know that Earth never fell. The words hit Minho like a physical blow. What? The Valdorn attack on Earth was anticipated. The planet they destroyed was a carefully constructed duplicate. The real Earth exists in dimensional space along with most of our population and industrial capacity. Soo-young stepped forward. Captain, humanity spent the last 50 years developing phase technology while pretending to be refugees. The Valdorn thought they were hunting scattered survivors. In reality, they were being observed and studied. Minho's legs felt weak. Then why didn't you help us? Why let us think we were alone? Because we needed the galaxy's major powers to reveal themselves completely, Do-hyun explained. Today, every significant fleet in this sector is gathered in one place. Perfect for a demonstration. Outside, the combined alien armada began its coordinated assault. Thousands of ships moved in carefully planned formations. Energy nets stretched across millions of cubic kilometers. Gravity wells created dimensional distortions designed to trap any vessel trying to escape normal space. Sir, came reports from multiple ships. The target has vanished again. The Phantom Wind had indeed disappeared from conventional sensors. But inside the ship, now docked at Kepler Station, Captain Do-hyun calmly observed the alien fleet through dimensional instruments. They're trying to trap us in normal space, Soo-young noted. Quite clever, actually. Can they succeed? Minho asked nervously. No, Do-hyun replied. They're thinking in 3 dimensions while we operate in 7. It's like trying to catch a bird with a fishing net. The alien fleets launched their attack. Energy weapons created a web of destruction across the system. Missiles filled space like deadly rain. The bombardment was so intense that space itself seemed to catch fire. When the weapons fire stopped, the alien commanders waited for confirmation of the kill. Sensors swept the area where the mystery ship had last appeared. They found nothing but dissipating energy and empty space. Target destroyed, reported dozens of ships simultaneously. For a moment, hope filled the alien command centers. Then new sensor readings appeared. The Phantom Wind materialized in the exact center of the fleet formation, surrounded by thousands of enemy vessels. It hung motionless in space, clearly visible to every ship in the armada. The vessel made no aggressive moves, displayed no weapons, showed no signs of damage from the massive bombardment. Impossible, General Viridian whispered. How did it survive? Morvek demanded. Admiral Thalerin stared at the tactical display. The enemy ship sat calmly among his forces like a predator surrounded by prey. Every instinct told him to open fire, but logic warned him it would be useless. Then the ship began to move. The Phantom Wind didn't accelerate or turn like normal vessels. It simply shifted position, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously. To the alien sensors, it looked like the ship was in dozens of places at once, all of them real, all of them impossible. Sir, which one do we target? His weapons officer asked desperately. Before Thalerin could answer, the ship began its counterattack. Energy beams materialized inside the hulls of 3 hegemony dreadnoughts, precisely targeting their main weapon systems. The massive ships suddenly found their primary guns offline, disabled by strikes that had somehow bypassed their shields entirely. Shields are still active, reported the hegemony flagships. No hull breaches detected. It's like they reached through our defenses and turned off our weapons. More attacks followed. The phantom wind appeared to fire from impossible angles, sometimes from inside the formation, sometimes from multiple directions simultaneously. Each strike was precise, surgical, designed to disable rather than destroy. Within 10 minutes, 50 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy were floating helplessly, their weapons offline and their crews unharmed. The message was clear. We could have killed you all. We chose not to. Admiral, his communications officer called out with a shaking voice. Incoming transmission from the target. Put it through. Captain Do-Yun's face appeared on screens throughout the fleet. His expression was calm, almost friendly. Commanders of the Galactic Alliance, he began. You have witnessed a demonstration of humanity's current capabilities. This vessel represents our most basic phase technology. We have others. Impossible, General Viridian transmitted back. Humans are primitives. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Do-Yun smiled. That was the impression we wanted to give. While you built larger fleets and more powerful weapons, we learned to step outside the rules of normal space. Your three-dimensional thinking cannot comprehend four-dimensional movement, much less seven-dimensional phase manipulation. The alien commanders exchanged glances across their communication links. Each had spent lifetimes studying military science and space technology. Nothing in their experience could explain what they were seeing. What do you want? Admiral Thalarin asked finally. Withdrawal from human space. Complete and permanent. In return, we will not demonstrate our more advanced capabilities, and if we refuse, then you will discover that the Phantom Wind is not our only ghost ship. The transmission ended, leaving the alien fleet commanders staring at each other in shocked silence. Around them, their most powerful warships drifted helplessly, proof that everything they thought they knew about warfare had just become obsolete. Commander Vex Morlan watched his tactical display with growing confusion. The unknown contact had appeared again, this time 3,000 kilometers to starboard. His 50 destroyers spread out in a wide search pattern, their sensors sweeping every cubic meter of space. Anything? He asked his sensor operator. Negative, sir. Whatever it is, it's using technology we don't understand. Our sensors detect it one moment, then lose it completely the next. Morlane clenched his fists. In all his years of service, no enemy had ever made him feel this helpless. The mystery ship seemed to mock the laws of physics themselves. It appeared, vanished, and reappeared somewhere else without using any detectable propulsion system. Sir, contact bearing 090, another officer called out. Morlane spun toward the coordinates. There, a brief shimmer in space like looking through water. The outline of a ship flickered into view for perhaps 2 seconds before disappearing again. All ships converge on that position. Maximum firepower. 20 destroyers turned toward the coordinates, their weapons charging. Energy readings spiked across the squadron as massive guns prepared to fire. But before anyone could pull a trigger, new alerts filled the bridge. Contact directly above us. Another one to port?
Sir, I'm reading multiple contacts.
Morlan's blood ran cold. Were there more of these ghost ships? His tactical display showed contacts appearing and vanishing all around his formation. Some lasted only seconds. Others flickered like dying lights. Unknown to the Valdorn commander, he was seeing the same ship from multiple angles. Inside the mysterious vessel, Captain Choi Do-Hyun stood calmly on his bridge, watching the alien formation through instruments that showed reality in ways no other species could imagine. The ship was called the Phantom Wind, and it represented humanity's greatest technological achievement. Around Do-Hyun, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. Engineer Han Soo-young monitored the phase drive from her station. Navigator Kang Miran tracked their position across multiple dimensional layers. Weapons Officer Yoon Tae-hyung kept targeting systems ready. Phase status? Do-Hyun asked. Stable across all 7 dimensions, Soo-young reported. We can maintain this level of phase variance for another 6 hours without strain. The phase drive was humanity's answer to the galaxy's superior numbers. While other species built bigger guns and thicker armor, human scientists had learned to step outside normal space-time. The Phantom Wind existed in several dimensions simultaneously, appearing solid in normal space only when its crew chose. Sir, the alien formation is spreading out, Moran reported. They're trying to surround our last known position. Do-Hyun smiled slightly. The Valdorn were thinking in 3 dimensions while his ship moved through 7. It was like watching someone try to catch shadows with a net. "Take us to phase level 4, he ordered. "Begin precision strikes." The phantom wind shifted deeper into dimensional space. To the Valdorn sensors, it vanished completely. But Do-hyun could still see the alien ships clearly through his phase-enhanced instruments. They looked like slow, clumsy giants stumbling through a maze they couldn't understand. "Target the lead destroyer's propulsion system," Do-hyun commanded. Tae-hyung's fingers moved across his controls. The ship's weapons existed in the same multi-dimensional space as the hull. They could fire at targets in normal space while remaining invisible themselves. "Firing," Tae-hyung announced. A beam of coherent energy materialized inside the Valdorn destroyer's engine compartment. The blast disabled the ship's main drive without causing casualties. To Commander Morlane, it looked like his flagship had simply stopped working for no reason. "Engineering report," Morlane shouted into his communicator. "Sir, main drive is offline. No external damage detected. It's like something reached inside our hull and turned off the engines." Before Morlane could respond, another destroyer reported the same problem. Then another. The phantom wind moved through the formation like a ghost, appearing for split seconds to disable key systems before vanishing again. Each attack came from an impossible angle, sometimes directly above, sometimes from inside the formation itself. "Sir, they're not trying to destroy us," his tactical officer observed. "Every hit targets non-critical systems. It's like they want to disable rather than kill." Morlane felt sweat beading on his scaled forehead. An enemy that could strike anywhere while remaining invisible was terrifying enough. An enemy that chose mercy over slaughter was somehow worse. It suggested confidence, control, power beyond imagination. "All ships implement random movement patterns," he ordered. "If we can't see them coming, at least we can make ourselves harder to hit." The Valdorn destroyers began erratic maneuvers, weaving through space in unpredictable patterns. For a few minutes, the attack stopped. Hope began to grow on the alien bridges. Then the phantom wind demonstrated another capability. The ship phased into normal space directly in the center of the formation. For nearly 10 seconds, it remained fully visible, a sleek vessel that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its hull showed no weapon ports, no engine exhausts, no features that matched conventional ship design. Every Valdorn destroyer turned weapons toward the intruder. Targeting computers locked on, trigger fingers tensed. The ship vanished an instant before 50 weapons fired simultaneously. Energy beams and missiles crossed empty space, some striking other Valdorn vessels. In the confusion, 3 destroyers suffered friendly fire damage. "Cease fire! Cease fire!" Morland screamed. The phantom wind reappeared behind the formation, visible just long enough for the aliens to see it before phasing away again. The message was clear. "We can appear anywhere we want, anytime we want. Your weapons cannot touch us." On Kepler Station, the human defenders watched their instruments in amazement. Kimnari's sensors showed the Valdorn squadron in complete disarray. Energy signatures indicated multiple weapon discharges, but no signs of battle damage on the mystery contact. "Captain," she reported to Minho, 20 Valdorn ships are now showing propulsion failures. Whatever's out there, it's systematically disabling their fleet. Minho stared at the tactical display. The unknown contact continued its impossible dance, appearing and vanishing like a will-o'-the-wisp. Part of him wanted to believe it was human, but logic said otherwise. Humanity had no such technology. Their most advanced ships were centuries behind Valdorn engineering. "Sir, incoming transmission," Nari announced. "From the Valdorn?" "No, sir, from the unknown contact. It's broadcasting on human frequencies." Minho's heart stopped. "Put it through." A calm, measured voice filled the command center. The accent was definitely human, specifically Korean, though Minho couldn't place the dialect. "Kepler Station, this is Captain Choi Do-hyun of the UES Phantom Wind. Please maintain your current position. We will handle the Valdorn threat." The communication channel closed before Minho could respond. Around the command center, his crew stared at each other in shock. UES, United Earthship, but Earth had fallen 3 years ago. How could there be a human vessel with technology that made Valdorn warships look like toys? "Try to re-establish contact," Minho ordered. "I'm trying, sir, but they're not responding." Back with the Valdorn squadron, Commander Morlane faced a tactical nightmare. Half his ships were disabled. The enemy remained invisible and untouchable. His weapons were useless against a foe that existed partially outside normal space. "Sir, Admiral Thaloran is demanding a status report," his communications officer announced nervously. Morlane looked at his tactical display. 20 of his finest destroyers drifted powerless. The remainder huddled together like frightened children. In 30 years of military service, he had never felt so completely outmatched. "Tell the Admiral," he said slowly, "that we are engaging an enemy unlike anything in our databases. Request immediate reinforcement." The words tasted like ashes in his mouth. But what else could he say? How do you fight something that moves like a ghost through dimensions you didn't know existed? The massive bridge of the Eternal Dominion hummed with activity. Admiral Krex Thaloran stood before the main viewing screen, his forearms crossed behind his back as he watched the final preparations. Outside, 2,000 warships spread across space like deadly flowers. Each vessel bristled with weapons that could crack planets. This was the largest fleet the Valdorn Empire had ever assembled. "Admiral, all squadrons report ready," his communications officer announced. The voice carried respect mixed with fear. Everyone knew what this mission meant. Today, they would crush the last human resistance and claim total victory. Thaloran's scaled face showed satisfaction. The humans had been running for 3 years since their homeworld fell. Now they hid behind one small station in empty space, Kepler Station, a pathetic outpost with barely any defenses. After today, the human problem would be solved forever. "Begin the attack," Thaloran commanded. Far away, on Kepler Station, alarms echoed through narrow corridors. Captain Lee Minho rushed onto the command deck, his boots clanging on metal floors. The station shook as defense turrets fired at the approaching enemy scouts. "Report!" Minho shouted over the noise. Park Jiwoo, his tactical officer, looked up from his console. His face was pale. "Sir, our long-range sensors show massive fleet movement. At least 2,000 ships, maybe more. They'll be here in 6 hours. Kim Nari, the communications specialist, turned from her station. "Captain, I've sent distress calls on all frequencies." No response. "We're alone." Minho nodded grimly. He had expected this. Earth Command had gone silent weeks ago. The 12 human ships docked at Kepler Station were all that remained of humanity's once mighty fleet. Most were damaged from previous battles. They had maybe 100 fighters between them. "How long can our shields hold?" Minho asked. "Against that many ships? Maybe 10 minutes if we're lucky," Jiwoo replied. The captain stared at the tactical display. Red dots filled the screen like a plague. Each dot represented enough firepower to destroy his station 3 times over. He thought about the 3,000 civilians hiding in the station's lower levels. Families, children, all counting on him to protect them. "Keep scanning," he ordered. "Maybe someone will answer our calls." Hours passed. The Valdorn fleet crept closer like a slow avalanche. On the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Thaloran watched his prey with cold satisfaction. The humans had nowhere to run this time. No surprise attacks. No clever tricks. Just pure overwhelming force, sir, his sensor operator called out. "I'm detecting something strange." Thaloran's attention sharpened. "Explain." "There's a contact at the edge of the system. Very faint. It appeared suddenly, but now it's flickering in and out of our sensors." "Distance?" "Approximately 50,000 kilometers from the human station." "But sir, the reading doesn't match any known ship class." Thaloran moved to the sensor station. The display showed a weak, unstable contact. It appeared for a few seconds, then vanished, then appeared again somewhere slightly different. Like a ghost dancing between dimensions. Probably sensor malfunction, he decided. Continue the advance, but the strange contact grew stronger. Soon every ship in the fleet was detecting it. The unknown vessel seemed to move without following normal space travel rules. It jumped from place to place without the energy signatures of typical faster-than-light drives. Then came the message. Every communication system in the Valdorn fleet received it simultaneously. The voice spoke perfect Valdorn language with calm, measured tones. "Valdorn fleet, this is your only warning. Withdraw your forces from this system immediately. Leave human space and do not return." Silence filled the Eternal Dominion's bridge. Thaloran's officers stared at each other in confusion. One ship was challenging the entire Valdorn armada. The admiral's mandibles clicked together, a sign of extreme anger. "Trace that transmission," he ordered. "Unable to trace, sir. The signal appears to come from everywhere and nowhere." "Sir," the sensor operator added nervously, "the contact is moving again. It's heading towards Squadron 7. On the tactical display, 50 Valdorn destroyers held formation near the system's edge. The mysterious contact approached them slowly, still flickering in and out of detection. Thaloran felt his anger growing. How dare some unknown ship threaten his fleet? "Order Squadron 7 to investigate and destroy that vessel," he commanded. Commander Vex Morlane received the orders with professional calm. His 50 destroyers were among the fleet's finest. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a city. Whatever this mystery contact was, it would not survive long against his squadron. "All ships, advance on the unknown contact." "Weapons ready," Morlane ordered. The destroyers moved forward in perfect formation. Their sensors swept space ahead, searching for the target. For several minutes, they found nothing. The contact had vanished again. Where did it go? Morlane muttered. "Sir, new contact bearing 270, his sensor officer reported. Distance 5,000 kilometers. Morlane turned toward the coordinates. Space looked empty. Nothing but stars and darkness. Then, for just a moment, something shimmered. Like heat waves rising from hot metal, space itself seemed to bend and twist. A shape appeared, sleek, angular, definitely artificial. Then it was gone again. "All weapons fire on those coordinates," Morlane shouted. Energy beams and missiles filled space where the shape had been. Explosions lit up the darkness. When the light faded, nothing remained but empty space and dissipating energy. "Direct hit, sir," the weapons officer reported. "Target destroyed." But even as he spoke, new sensor readings appeared. The mysterious contact had reappeared behind the squadron. Impossibly fast. Morlane spun around to see another shimmer in space. This time the shape stayed visible longer. He glimpsed smooth hull plates that seemed to bend light around them. The design was unlike anything in Valdorn databases. "How did it get behind us?" someone whispered. The unknown ship vanished again before anyone could fire. Morlane felt cold fear creeping up his spine. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything move like that. It was as if the vessel existed in multiple places at once, choosing when and where to appear. Back on Kepler Station, Kim Nari's instruments detected the engagement. "Captain, something's happening near the Valdorn fleet. Energy discharges consistent with weapons fire." "Are they fighting each other?" Minho asked hopefully. "No, sir. It looks like they're shooting at something else. Something small." Minho frowned. "Who else could be out there? All human forces were accounted for. Unless—" "Keep monitoring," he ordered. Deep in his chest, he felt the first small spark of hope in months. Maybe, just maybe, humanity wasn't as alone as they thought.